Ever been scrolling social media and felt that sharp, familiar pang in your chest? You see someone's perfect vacation, shiny new promotion, or flawless-looking relationship, and suddenly you're in a bad mood. It's a painful feeling, right? A hot, tight sensation that's hard to admit, even to yourself. It's so easy to think it's some kind of fundamental flaw in our character, a stain of inadequacy we have to hide. But what if jealousy wasn't a personal failing? What if it was just a conditioned mental habit, a pattern you've learned over a lifetime? Buddhist psychology suggests the root of jealousy is a deep misunderstanding of ourselves and the world. It's not an inherent part of who you are, but more like a cloud that temporarily blocks out the sun. In this guide, we're going to journey into the heart of this tough emotion. We'll explore its root cause from a perspective that's been refined for over 2,500 years. And more importantly, we'll uncover ancient, practical methods to not just cope with jealousy, but to transform it from a painful poison into a profound source of peace and genuine joy. Before you can transform an emotion, you have to be willing to look it in the eye. So, what exactly is jealousy? In the West, it's often defined as resentment towards others for their success, tangled up with insecurity, possessiveness, and fear. Socrates had a great line for it, calling it the ulcer of the soul, which is a perfect description for how it slowly eats away at our peace from the inside. It's a uniquely painful experience. There's the clenching jaw, the tight stomach, that visceral stab of pain right in the chest. And this feeling often kicks off a whole cascade of other difficult states: competitiveness, envy, resentment, and a deep-seated fear of being left behind. When we feel jealous, we aren't just dealing with one emotion, we're caught in a whole storm of them. In Buddhism, jealousy gets a specific label, a disturbing emotion. And it's called that for a good reason. By its very nature, it causes us to lose our inner peace and self-control. Think about it. When you're truly in the grip of jealousy, your mind is not a calm or pleasant place to be. It's agitated, chaotic, and often pushes us to think, say, or do things we regret later. It spins this whole story where we're the victim, the one who's losing out or being wronged. This story can be weirdly captivating, even addictive, because it puts our suffering at the center of the universe. But maybe the most insidious part of jealousy is the shame that comes with it. It's hard to feel, and even harder to admit. We often beat ourselves up for it, thinking, "I'm a good person, I shouldn't feel this way," which just adds another layer of suffering. This self-criticism can make us shut down and isolate ourselves, disconnecting us not only from others, but from our own sense of basic goodness. The pain of jealousy is bad enough without piling on the pain of judging ourselves for it. So, the first and most courageous step on this whole journey is just to acknowledge the pain without judgment. To look at the storm inside and admit, okay, this is jealousy. In that simple, honest acknowledgement, you start to take your power back. You stop being jealous and start becoming the one who observes the jealousy. And from that space of observation, a new possibility opens up, the possibility of freedom. So, how do we actually deal with this? To find a lasting solution, we can't just put a bandage on it. We have to go to the source. Buddhist psychology has a remarkably clear diagnosis of where jealousy comes from. It teaches that our suffering originates from what are known as the three poisons: greed, hatred, and ignorance. Jealousy is a potent cocktail of all three. There's the greed, the wanting what someone else has. There's the hatred, the anger and resentment that they have it and we don't. But the main ingredient, the primary cause of all our trouble, is ignorance. This isn't ignorance like not knowing facts. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality, and our self, actually works. At its core, Buddhism teaches that jealousy is rooted in attachment and, most profoundly, in ego clinging. It pops up from the mistaken belief that we have this solid, separate, permanent me that exists independently from everyone else. Because we believe in this isolated me, we see the world through a lens of me versus them. We get super protective of this self, constantly trying to build it up, defend it, and make sure it's happy. This clinging to a fixed self is the fertile ground where jealousy grows. It creates a deep-seated insecurity, a nagging feeling that we're not good enough just as we are. When we operate from this place of lack, the world becomes a giant marketplace of comparison. We see someone else's success, their happiness, or their relationship not as a neutral event, but as a direct threat to our own well-being. We fall for the trap that happiness and success are limited resources, a zero-sum game where another person's gain must be our loss. This is the comparing mind. And in our world, this tendency is supercharged by social media, which gives us an infinite scroll of people to compare ourselves to, leading to a constant, low-grade feeling of inadequacy. We mistake curated highlight reels for real life, and it just fuels the fire of our own perceived shortcomings. Because of all this, jealousy is considered one of the 5 poisons in Buddhism, right alongside attachment, anger, pride, and ignorance. They're called poisons because they toxify our minds, cloud our natural clarity, and cause suffering for us and everyone around us. An ancient text compares jealousy to a cruel snake hiding in a dark pit of ignorance that can't stand to see others do well and quickly injects them with its venom. But in the end, the poison harms us the most. But here's the kicker, and it's actually really good news. The Buddha taught that these mental states aren't who we are. They are conditioned phenomena. The Buddhist principle of dependent origination explains that jealousy arises when the right causes and conditions are present, sort of like how a volcano erupts because of the immense pressure building up underneath. It's a natural, though harmful, response that comes from specific, identifiable causes. And if jealousy isn't a fixed part of us, but a conditioned response based on ignorance and ego clinging, it means the conditioning can be changed. By understanding the root cause, this illusion of a separate, lacking self, we can start to apply the right antidote and systematically tear down the very foundation that jealousy is built on. If jealousy is the poison, born from a mind of lack and comparison, what's the antidote? In the vast pharmacy of Buddhist psychology, the most direct and powerful remedy is a quality known as Mudita. Mudita is an ancient Pali and Sanskrit word that doesn't have a perfect one-word translation in English. It's usually called sympathetic joy or appreciative joy. It is the genuine, unselfish happiness you feel for the success and good fortune of other people. It's the polar opposite of jealousy. While jealousy wails, "Why them and not me?" Mudita says, "How wonderful that you're happy. Your happiness actually brings me joy. And no, this isn't that fake, 'I'm so happy for you,' that we sometimes say through gritted teeth. Mudita is a sincere and boundless wellspring of joy that's always available, no matter what's going on in our own lives. It's considered one of the 4 immeasurables, the 4 highest qualities of the heart, along with loving kindness, compassion, and equanimity. So, why is Mudita such a perfect antidote? Because it directly reverses the core mechanics of jealousy. Jealousy comes from scarcity and self-clinging. It shrinks our world down to our little ego and everything it doesn't have. Mudita does the exact opposite. It blows our world and our hearts wide open. When we practice rejoicing in someone else's good fortune, we shift our focus from our own perceived lack to the abundance of happiness that's already out there. Joy is not a finite resource. Someone else's success doesn't diminish your potential. Someone else's happiness doesn't take away from your own. Mudita helps us see this directly. By celebrating the good that happens to others, we tear down the artificial wall between me and them that the ego works so hard to maintain. We start to see that we're all interconnected. In that sense of oneness, another person's joy is also our joy. In some Buddhist traditions, joy is personified by figures like Green Tara, a female Buddha known for her swift, compassionate action, who is often called upon to help overcome jealousy. She embodies a joyful, fearless energy that helps us chase away the darkness of envy with the light of joy. Practicing mudita isn't about ignoring your own desires or struggles. It's about recognizing that you can be happy for others, even while you're working on your own life. In fact, Buddhist teachings suggest that rejoicing in the good fortune of others actually makes us a magnet for our own good fortune. When we focus on jealousy, we attract more reasons to feel jealous. When we focus on joy, we attract more joy. Cultivating mudita is a practice. It's a skill you develop over time, like strengthening a muscle. It might feel totally unnatural at first, especially when jealousy is flaring up. But the more we intentionally point our minds towards celebrating others, the more natural it becomes. We are, in essence, retraining our minds, shifting from the toxic habit of comparison to the liberating habit of appreciation. This is the path to transforming that green-eyed monster into an open, generous, and joyful heart. Okay, we have the map. Now it's time to actually take the first step. Before we can apply any remedy, we have to learn to be present with the affliction itself. We do this through mindful acknowledgement. This first step is the most crucial, and it's beautifully simple. When you feel jealousy arise, just notice it. That's it. No judgment, no suppression, and no weaving a dramatic story around it. Typically, when a painful emotion like jealousy shows up, we do one of two things. First, we suppress it. We push it down, pretend it's not there, and distract ourselves, because it feels ugly. The second reaction is to indulge it. We get lost in the story, replaying the scenario, feeding the resentment, and spiraling into self-pity. Both of these just give the jealousy more power. Mindful acknowledgement offers a third way. You just turn your attention inward and recognize the feeling. You might say to yourself, silently and gently, "Ah, this is jealousy," or "A feeling of jealousy is here right now." Notice the subtle shift in language. You're not saying, "I am a jealous person." This is a huge distinction. By saying, "Jealousy is arising," you're seeing it as a temporary mental event, a passing weather pattern in the sky of your mind, rather than your entire identity. You are not the storm, you are the sky in which the storm is happening. This simple act of observation creates a little bit of space between you and the emotion, and in that space, you find freedom. As you acknowledge the feeling, you can also notice how it shows up in your body. Where is it? A tightness in your chest? Heat in your face? A knot in your stomach? Just observe these physical sensations without needing them to change. Don't fight them, just be aware. Some researchers suggest the initial chemical rush of an emotion might move through our bodies in as little as 90 seconds. The reason it feels like it lasts for hours is that we keep re-triggering it with the stories we tell ourselves. By staying with the raw physical sensation, you allow the energy of the emotion to move through you and dissolve naturally. Buddhist psychology teaches that leaning into the experience of jealousy, rather than hiding from it, is the key to transforming it. It's a courageous act of self-compassion. Instead of judging yourself for feeling something difficult, you meet it with curiosity. You treat it not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a messenger that has come to teach you something about where your mind is getting stuck. This practice is the foundation. It stops you from feeding the emotion and allows it to lose its momentum. It's like cutting off the supply chain to the factory of suffering. Once you can sit with the feeling without being swept away by it, you've created the perfect condition to apply the more active antidotes that will truly transform your mind. Once you've got a handle on mindful awareness, you can start actively rewiring your heart. The second powerful practice from the Buddhist toolkit is Metta, or loving kindness meditation. Metta is the sincere, unconditional wish for all beings to be happy. It is a gentle but persistent force that directly dissolves the anger and resentment that fuel jealousy. Jealousy comes from a closed, contracted heart focused on itself. Metta opens and expands the heart, filling it with warmth and goodwill for everyone, without exception. The practice is systematic and incredibly profound, and it usually starts with yourself, because it's hard to genuinely wish happiness for others if you don't feel it for yourself. Many of us are our own worst critics, which is often the fuel for feeling less than. So you begin there. Sit comfortably, maybe with a hand on your heart, and silently repeat a few simple phrases directed to yourself. Phrases like, "May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering." Repeat these gently, letting the feeling behind the words soak in. You're planting seeds of kindness in your own heart. For many people, this is actually the hardest part. Be patient. Even if you don't feel it at first, the act of repetition is a powerful statement of intent. After spending some time on yourself, the practice moves outward. Bring to mind a dear friend, someone you easily feel warmth for. Visualizing them, you extend the same wishes. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. Feel that natural joy that comes from wishing them well. Next, bring to mind a neutral person, someone you see but don't have strong feelings about, like a cashier or a neighbor. Extend the same wishes to them, recognizing their fundamental desire to be happy, just like you. And now for the boss level, especially in the context of jealousy. You bring to mind the person you feel jealous or envious of. This can be tough. Your mind might want to squirm, but this is where the real transformation happens. Try to see this person not as a rival, but simply as another being who, just like you, wants to be happy. As you hold them in your mind, you extend the phrases of loving kindness. May you be happy. May you find peace and joy. May your good fortune continue. Imagine them receiving these wishes. Notice any resistance in your own mind, and just meet that resistance with gentleness. You don't have to force a feeling. The practice is about the intention. By simply forming these words in your mind, you are actively choosing to counter the habit of resentment with a new habit of goodwill. You are choosing connection over comparison. As the great 8th century Buddhist master Shantideva said, "All the happiness there is in this world arises from wishing others to be happy." This practice trains your mind to find joy not in being better than others, but in the shared happiness of all. It softens the ego's grip and shows you, through direct experience, that your own peace is tied to your goodwill for others. With consistent practice, Metta slowly but surely melts the frozen heart of jealousy, revealing the boundless warmth that lies beneath. For those times when jealousy feels particularly stuck and overwhelming, Tibetan Buddhism offers a profound and rather counterintuitive practice called Tonglen, which means giving and taking. This practice is going to sound completely backward, but stick with me. It radically flips our usual script of avoiding pain and chasing pleasure. Standard meditation logic is to breathe in goodness and breathe out negativity. Tonglen does the exact opposite. On the in-breath, you intentionally breathe in the pain and suffering of others. On the out-breath, you breathe out and send them happiness, peace, and relief. Why on earth would we want to take in suffering? The profound wisdom here is that by being willing to touch suffering, our own and others, we realize it doesn't destroy us. In fact, it connects us. It dissolves the illusion of a separate self that needs to be protected at all costs. Here's how you can practice it specifically for jealousy. First, you connect with your own feeling of jealousy. You don't push it away, you breathe it in. Fully accept and acknowledge the hot, constricting pain of your own envy and insecurity. Then, on the out-breath, you send yourself relief. Breathe out a sense of peace, self-acceptance, and spaciousness. Wish for yourself to be free from this painful emotion. Do this for a few rounds, accepting your own pain and offering yourself relief. Now, you expand the practice. Bring to mind the person you're jealous of. Instead of seeing them as the source of your pain, recognize that they also experience suffering. Everyone does. Perhaps they have their own insecurities and struggles that you know nothing about. On the in-breath, you imagine breathing in any pain or suffering they might have. Breathe in their fears, their anxieties, their dissatisfaction. Then, on the out-breath, you genuinely send them the very thing you're jealous of. Breathe out and send them continued success, happiness, and good fortune. Send them everything you think they have that you want, and more. Say in your mind, "May you have even more happiness. May your joy be complete." This act is revolutionary for the ego. The ego wants to hoard, to take, to diminish the other person. Tonglen trains you to do the opposite, to give, to send, to wish them even more well-being. By doing this, you are short-circuiting the very mechanism of jealousy. You're proving to yourself that giving away happiness doesn't empty you, it connects you to an infinite source of it. This practice is powerfully linked to the Buddhist understanding of interdependence, the idea that we are all part of a vast, interconnected web. When one part of the web is lifted up, it has the potential to lift the whole thing. Tonglen is strong medicine. It takes courage, but it's one of the most powerful ways to dismantle the self-centered view that fuels jealousy, and to cultivate a truly heroic heart that finds its strength not in what it has, but in what it can give. We've walked through a lot today, from the deep roots of jealousy to the practical steps for transforming it. Remember, this is a journey, not a quick fix, and every single step you take is a victory for your own peace of mind. If you got something out of this guide, please give the video a like. It really does help more people who might be struggling to find it. And subscribe to the channel for more guides on applying ancient wisdom to modern life. I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, share your own experiences with this emotion or any insights you had. Sharing our journeys helps us all realize we're not alone in this. So, what's the big takeaway? We started by acknowledging the real pain that jealousy causes and how it can feel like a personal flaw. But we discovered that from a Buddhist perspective, it is not who you are. It's a conditioned habit, rooted in the poison of ignorance, specifically, the illusion of a solid, separate, and lacking self. We learned that this ego clinging creates the comparing mind, which turns the world into a competition and sees the happiness of others as a threat to our own. But we didn't just stay with the problem. We found the solution, cultivating the beautiful qualities of the heart. We learned about Mudita, or sympathetic joy, the direct antidote that rejoices in the good fortune of others. We explored the practical path to get there through mindful acknowledgement, which creates the space for change. We then learned to actively rewire our hearts with Metta, or loving kindness. And finally, we touched on the profound practice of Tonglen, a compassionate exchange that completely reverses the selfish logic of the ego. These aren't just ideas, they are practical tools for training your mind. They are invitations to take on the most rewarding work there is, the cultivation of your own heart. The path out of the prison of jealousy is through the open door of wishing others well. It is a journey from a contracted, fearful heart to an open, courageous, and joyful one. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, and may you find endless joy in the happiness of all beings.